What's good, everybody? What's going on, man? It's Stephen Qualls II, aka Mr. Qualified. It's your boy, and we're back for another episode of the Wright Quality. Jam-packed for y'all. Got a lot going on in sports right now. It's a perfect time. But two guests. We'll start with Ashley. Go ahead, introduce yourselves, and then we'll hop right into our topics for today.
Ashley Wright the first.
Gang.
Miguel Emilio.
Another ganger. Yeah, we're all here. The gang's back. The gang's back.
For lifers.
What, Miguel? What?
I was figuring out which hand to go with the L. It's the okay. Keyboard. We're learning still.
We are going to start with some football, and we're going to start with Wild Card Weekend, Super Wild Card Weekend. Excuse me, that's what they call it now. But first and foremost, first 7 seed to win in NFL playoff history.
Raise the roof.
So my favorite part about the weekend was Bears fans being equally upset that the Packers were still good, but also giving those props for having yet another seemingly franchise quarterback just ready to go, lying in wait. I must say, this transition process, I don't know too much about off years. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know too much about off years as a Packers fan. I'm not gonna hold you. So
spoiled.
Happy very much so. Very much so. But yeah, destroyed the Cowboys. Cowboys back in the air for sure. Sorry to all you Dallas fans. I wish I could say I'm surprised, but I'm not. But yeah, any thoughts on Packers Cowboys and the rest of Super Wild Card Weekend as we know it at this current point in time? I think there's one game left, but yeah, thoughts on Wild Card Weekend.
So I will say I'm not surprised that the Cowboys lost, but I am surprised in the manner in which they lost. I did not expect the Packers to go in to Jerry World and dominate the way that they did on both sides of the ball too. Like, they had a complete game. Dallas was trash. It was 27-0 at one point. Dak looked like he was the first year starter. The defense, where was Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence? Nobody on defense showed up. And then I just want to talk about one clip that I saw with Jair Alexander and CeeDee Lamb. Jair jammed CeeDee, and CeeDee didn't do anything back. Like, he jammed him. It was obviously a push after the play. You know, players start jawing and all that, but CeeDee didn't have anything to say. So it seemed as if they had checked out in the first half when they were down 27-0.
Yeah. So, Gail?
I was going to say, it was expected. It's the Cowboys. I mean, not to be... You know, all my friends know. They saw. I stood 10 toes. They were like, oh, my uncle. They were like, oh, you're going to have to see us in the playoffs. Oh, aren't you worried about the Cowboys? And I'm like, no, it's Mike McCarthy in the playoffs. We've seen it. He had Aaron Rodgers for how long, and he couldn't get it done. And it's Dak Prescott. We knew who he was. Like, we know what he is. And Jordan Love, all right, let me give you the spiel. It's always the hot teams in the playoffs. Like, the Giants weren't the best when they got those rings against the Patriots. Like, they were not the best team in the league. They were just trending upwards at the right time. And I feel like we had to play hot to get in. We are remaining hot, it seems. We dropped 48 on supposedly one of the best defenses in the league. And now we have to go into the 49ers territory, which it's in the script every year. Oh, we beat Dallas. But, 49ers punk us every year since Cap. Since Cap, they've been running down our ass like every single time we see him. If Jordan Love gets this done, he is by far not gonna say eons ahead of what I mean. First year for year, him versus Aaron versus Brett versus Bart even. I mean, he's had a historic year. So if he can get this done against the 49ers.
Yeah, they were showing a graphic. They were showing a graphic of Love's stats versus Favre and Aaron Rodgers in their first playoff games. Aaron Rodgers lost his first playoff game to Arizona in a shootout.
Yeah, I think that was the Warner game.
Yeah, that was the Kurt Warner game.
I didn't forget. Yeah. I did not forget. The face mask. We should have won. Won.
Yeah, but the numbers were there, obviously, for them to show that graphic. So it's It's not far-fetched what you're saying. I will say it's probably a little too early, but Jordan Love looks like he's trending towards the right direction.
Yeah, I know a lot of people didn't believe. I know a lot of people didn't believe early in the season. I wouldn't say that I was skeptical. I just thought it was going to take a bit more time. I did not expect him nor the team to seemingly grow as much as they did in season. But cylinders are clicking at the right time, and I have more confidence going into San Francisco next week than I would have if we had played them first. Because I don't know if we would have put up this type of performance against them. But coming off of this performance, and they talked about it a lot during the broadcast, but I think having such a young receiving core, and not having a true number one, I think has been beneficial to Jordan Love and the offense, because when you can just, he said, you can just, what's the best football play? Like, what's the let the play develop? I don't have to look for my number one. I don't have to get one person involved. It's who's ever open. And I mean, our young receivers are, I mean, they all have the potential to be, threats, in the next couple of years. So I think, regardless of how far we get, I think this has been a great year for a team that will probably be scary for years to come, given how young we are at that. So yeah, I mean, that's all Packers Cowboys, but last thing on
last thing, because I was a little bit rushed and everything. I'm just so excited because this is all just icing on the cake. This is a rebuild year. We weren't supposed to be here. They after those first few weeks, they definitely wrote us out. So now I feel like this is just good to get winning culture in Green Bay for this next young group. And the 49ers are there. They got, the MAGA men in the backfield, Bosa and the boys trying to, that will be a force to be reckoned with come this next game. They got C-Mac, shouts out longest yard, the reference that I'm talking about. I won't say that. But, I feel like this is going to come down to who can manage the game best at QB. And I feel that Jordan Love will be showing why he is and should have been considered a better QB than Brock Purdy this year, because Brock Purdy has just been carried by his defense and his great team around him. And C-Mac has done everything. And let's see who gets the job done.
Cam Newton did say Purdy is a game manager. So we'll see. He put Dak in that category too.
How did y'all feel about those comments? I mean, especially now. I mean, Dak definitely ain't beating the allegations for sure.
Yeah,
that's clear.
Even prior to this, no.
No. They thought they were, or we thought they were. However it goes, but that's what it's going to be this Saturday. Mark my words.
Right. I mean, last thing on that, at least on the Cam comments, I don't think that Cam's comments were what people made them out to be. Mm-hmm. I mean, as a starting QB himself, I think that obviously he's speaking from perspective of just how different QBs can affect the game. And I don't think being a game manager is disrespectful or anything to feel disrespected about. But of course, it just makes for more discussion, in the league and during the season. But other games in the wild card, CJ Stroud in the Houston Texans. Thoughts on that?
Our month is coming up.
No, he looks great. Yeah. That, I don't want to say it's surprising, but again, I didn't expect the level in which he performed, but he was just so confident. It looked like he'd been there before, but you could tell that experience from coming from a top program like Ohio State, it definitely showed. Even with a higher caliber of talent, he just was so cool, calm, and collected. And that's who we've known CJ to be at quarterback. It was just very impressive to see that in an NFL playoff game, rather than, the college playoffs.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Flacco Hive. We made it far. We never thought that we would. I didn't think I'd be mentioning Flacco Hive in 2024. That was that was a thing. But yeah, the Browns, shouts out. They did it without Massage Watson. And, I think that, if that defense continues.
Hey, wait.
What?
Do you see something?
No, I just caught what he said.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I think they
I
did
was
it
like,
the right
who
way.
is that?
They did it the right way. You know,
I'm sorry.
no,
That really caught me
I'm
off guard.
glad
I'm sorry.
that we didn't have to see, that. So it was a good football game. Shout out to Chase Stroud too. Same passer rating as Jordan Love.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, no,
Top
both of them.
5 in,
Third all time. I think. I
It
don't
was.
think it's playoffs ever. It might be in first playoff game. I
It
think.
might have been because it was Peyton Manning at 158.3, and I think Josh Allen against the Patriots at 157.6. Jordan Love would have had a perfect passer rating if it weren't for his last 2 incompletions.
Yeah.
Yep.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So,
That is.
not
that
throws
is
back in there. Shouts out Aaron Jones too, like complete team. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, the Bills stomped
The Steelers.
Steelers. Yeah, like that has happened. So all we have to wait for is now the Eagles to possibly do the impossible and lose to Baker Mayfield. Oh my God! If we imagine talking about Baker Hive,
Hey, if Baker goes out there and balls out and takes out Philly, yeah, it's gonna be tough. It's
that'd be hilarious.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
What did he do on the sideline against Kansas? Something. Yeah, and planted the flag.
Other AFC game. Chiefs and Dolphins. Cold as hell.
Yeah.
Cold as hell, first and foremost. I'm not surprised by Tua and the Dolphins' performance. I don't know what the balance of it was between the weather and Tua just not necessarily. I don't know how much of this is like Tua's fault per se. I just don't think the Dolphins as a team. I just think the environment got the best of them. They're not used to playing in those type of conditions. Tua's first playoff game. You could see how much they relied on the pass and Tariq, and when that was taken away, there just didn't seem to be much there. I thought the game would be a little bit closer, a little bit more competitive, because it's not so much that the Chiefs played outstanding, per se, but I think they just, did what they needed to do. But thoughts on that game, and how do we feel about the Chiefs this season as compared to other seasons? Because in other seasons they've looked completely dominant, and we've almost expected them to walk to the Super Bowl, in a lot of cases in the last couple of years, but doesn't seem the case so much this year.
Yeah, I think for one, as we've expected, well, I don't know if we've expected it, but a lot of opposing teams have kind of been able to dial up what the Chiefs' tendencies are, whereas, in years past, they might have switched it up in terms of their attack. Maybe they want to run it. Maybe they want to, use Mahomes and have him run a couple times. But as of late, it just looks like teams are prepared, a lot more prepared for what the Chiefs have to offer. But the game on Saturday, I think you have a point when you say it wasn't a spectacular game by the Chiefs, but I think it was more so, the Dolphins not being accustomed to playing in that type of weather. Tua, when times, there's a little pressure, he tends to ball up. So that too. And I just feel like for the Dolphins, if your game plan is to pass the ball and you're passing it to Tyreek, don't you think players that have gone against him in practice in years past would know what his tendencies are? So the game plan I was a little critical about. But yeah, other than that, I actually wasn't surprised at how that game went.
Yeah. Tua turned the ball over. Yeah, that's famous nickname.
Wow.
From him. No, I mean, when you say ball up, it kind of, he had his longest rush of the season that game, which was 9 yards. And I'm just like, this man can roll out.
Which is crazy to me because Tua clearly, has some speed to him. I'm not expecting them to make him a runner per se, but I was a bit surprised when I found out that was his longest rush of the season.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just feel like you said, first playoff game. Kansas City has been there. They've done this. And I am terrified because Taylor Swift is in their fan base, and I don't know what the NFL will do to get her to a Super Bowl and to sit there on the sideline and then show her for half the game. No. I mean, I want to see Jordan Love versus Lamar Jackson. That's all I want to see. I want to see Lamar versus Patrick Mahomes, and I want to see Lamar come off, and I want to see the two best black QBs in the next however many long years. And I want them to drop a new NFL street, revamped. And this is the modern day NFL I want to see. This is what I want. If they can get this done and they can make this one of the most cracking Super Bowls of all time, Usher is going to be halftime. We deserve it. Our month.
It's our month.
They were going to be upset about that Beyonce performance last time. They're about to be so upset when Usher plays in the club. Something.
It's our month.
50 Cent or something, but I'm so geeked for what could be. Or we can get Josh Allen versus, Brock Purdy.
Is it Lamar's year? Is it Lamar's year to go all the way and get it done?
It's get it done. I don't know. Go all the way. Yes. Get it done.
Get that Jordan Love kid.
Hey man,
that's not who I'm thinking about, but yeah.
those boys in San Francisco.
A lot of people are asleep on Detroit, and it's because they're Detroit. But Dan Campbell has been playing like their hair is on fire. Like they are really good.
Yeah, so that's good. I like this current scenario currently.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Packers, Lions, and then I don't know how the AFC is looking in terms of who would face off last, but as long as Baltimore's coming out of it. And Mark Andrews makes a miraculous appearance. I want to see everyone at full strength. I don't want any excuses.
Wait, so in the AFC, so Baltimore has a bye.
Yes.
And they are going to play who?
So it's Bills. It's Chiefs at Bills next week. Mm-hmm. And then who won that first AFC game?
That's the winner of the Eagles Bucks, right?
Oh yeah.
No, that's the NFC.
That's NFC.
Yeah.
Houston.
Houston goes to play Baltimore. Yes. Yep.
It's a lot of melanin at QB in these final.
It's a lot of melanin at QB. Not mad at it. Not mad at it.
No, not at all.
Family Feud instincts. It's like, who am I gonna?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
No.
What did Issa Rae say? I'm rooting for everybody black.
Absolutely. Divisional round should be exciting indeed. We'll move on from Wild Card Weekend, and we're going to move on. I thought of this question because, of course, I don't know, it was last week sometime. I think it was like right after the college championship game. But Nick Saban is retired from college football. One of the greatest college coaches, period, but definitely arguably the greatest college football coach. Definitely one of the most accomplished for sure. A couple of years ago, I don't remember the exact year, but I know it was within the last couple of years. Did Coach K retire 2 years ago? Was that 2 years?
Yes, this is the first year for.
Yep.
Is it what's his name? John?
I'm forgetting the coach name. I know the name. I just can't.
He was on the staff though.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But my question to you all: whose career are you taking? All things considered, players they've sent to their respective professional leagues, record, all of that. Who has the better resume as a college coach, Nick Saban or Coach K?
Mm-hmm. As a college coach, I think I would say Nick Saban, and here's why.
Okay. He's done it at multiple schools, being Bama and LSU. And when I say done it, winning the championship. He's been top 10 in recruiting basically his entire career as a head coach in college football. The amount of Heisman Trophy winners that have come out of Alabama during his tenure. You've had non-quarterbacks winning the Heisman as well, which is considered to be a quarterback's trophy by most. And Devontae Smith, Derrick Henry. So I think when you think about the things that he's been able to do that are against the norm in college football, Saban has been able to do it. And that's why I would choose his career over Coach K's.
this feels like you can't have a wrong answer, but that would be my answer.
Fair enough. I don't think you go wrong either way. But Gail, where you stand?
Not knowing enough of both of their resumes off the top of my head, I'm going to have to take Saban too, because knowing too much about Duke, it feels like they have more floundered years than Alabama has. Like there's like that one moment that LSU ran it back on them that I can remember. And then, other than that, they've pretty much dominated and been flawless throughout college football in their flawed, playoff system, albeit. I don't know. Yeah, it just seems like Duke is always like, oh, out in the Sweet 16 and like out in, the Elite Eight, not, making anything shake. But they have a good program. They produce good NBA players. But outside of that, I would say Saban has been the more winning program.
I agree that Saban, I think, is a more winning coach, all things considered. I think Saban has they've gotten to the big dance the same amount, just about, I would say, give or take. But Saban has won on that stage more. Like you said, Duke has 13 Final Four appearances, and 5 championships. But there's a lot of years where Duke went out, like you said, much earlier than they were expected. Because I think Zion in them year, they went out in the Sweet 16, was it?
Yeah. Yep.
So year they went out like I think maybe first or
he's had some amazing teams and some amazing talent. Don't get me wrong. They both had amazing talent. I think what will put it over the edge for me, for Saban, I saw this on a TikTok like a day or two after he announced the retirement, but Saban has never had a losing season.
Yeah.
0. Which is just insane. Given how long he's coached. And Coach K has a winning percentage of 0.76. So he has a 75% winning percentage. So I don't know how many losing seasons are in there. It's probably not a lot. But you're picking apples and oranges here. If you want to get really, really technical, if we want to go down to how many like coach of the years they got, and if we really want to get technical with exactly how many players they've sent off, we could, and it'd still be neck and neck. Who has? Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask this. When was the last time Duke won? Was it with Jahlil Okafor when they beat Wisconsin and Frank Kaminsky?
15 was the last year that Duke won.
Yep.
Their championships are 91, 92, 2001, 2010, and 2015.
Yeah, and 2010 was when they beat Butler, right? Nolan Smith.
Yep, that'd be that year. Yep. So, yeah, it's apples and oranges. Who has the bigger legend between the two coaches? Because I think that Coach K might have the bigger legend, although that might be attributed to his USA basketball work, stuff like that.
I gotta disagree.
I understand it. I could get how you could lean towards Saban for legend too.
Yeah, I think his retirement said it all. You had players that didn't even play for him calling him the GOAT, number one. And then number 2, anytime you mention Saban, Bear Bryant comes up. One of the best coaches ever in football. So it's like, but like you said, apples and oranges, no wrong answer. But I don't know. Personally, it's Saban.
Yeah, I think what helps Coach K is I think Coach K has more of a connection to professional players on a professional level because of USA basketball. But so I don't think you can go wrong. 2 great coaches. I wonder what the next step for Alabama is. I saw who it looks like they're going for their next head coach.
Yeah, they ended up making it official. They hired Kalen DeBoer out of Washington, who just had a championship appearance. So
I mean, actually, you can give insight on that. I don't know too much about the college coaching, carousel. I don't know. Do you think that's a good hire? Is that a bad hire?
It's a good hire. I think it would take some time for Alabama has the talent, and obviously Kalen is really good with talent. The way that he developed Michael Penix, and thrusted him into the Heisman spotlight. So I do think it's a good hire. I think it'll take a lot, not a lot, but more than other SEC coaches for him to build the trust of potential recruits. But him getting to the national championship this year was an eye opener for many. But the SEC is just a whole different ball game during the regular season. I mean, a lot of people consider that to be the best conference in college football, and he's coming out of the Pac-12, which is non-existent anymore. So,
first on the list, injury-ridden Memphis Grizzlies. Gosh, these guys can't catch a break. Ja was, of course, the most disappointing news because for a minute there, for those 4 games, Memphis looked a little bit scary. Just a tinge. Just a little bit. But thoughts on this season for Memphis, and honestly, what should they do? Because Ja's out for the season already. We know that Adams was out for the season. We knew Clark was out for the season. Smart's out for about, I think, like 5 weeks at this point. Bain just went out. I think he's out for about 4 to 6. Rose has been out for some time. What do the Grizzlies do with the rest of this season?
Tank.
Isaiah Collier.
No. Oh, wait. Whoa. That backcourt would be nasty.
Zachary Reeser.
But wait. As much as Isaiah Collier's a dog. Don't get me wrong.
He reminds me of Ant so bad.
Okay. Here we go. Here's for the what's the word? Yep, for the unintelligent.
Cry. Memphis has to figure out what they're doing with their backcourt, because at this point now, I think any chance Memphis is going to trade Marcus Smart is cooked at this point. Yeah. You have Smart, Bain, and Ja, and I don't know what they're going to do with Rose. But they have a solid backcourt. So drafting, if they were to take another guard that high, it would just, I don't know what that would look like. I mean, unless they're just going off talent, like the best talent available.
He goes to Detroit. I mean, like there's a couple of different teams that he might end up on that he could benefit.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think they should tank as well. I don't think they should rush anybody back. And to be completely honest, if I'm Smart, if I'm Bain, and I'm already out 4 to 6 before I could even return, that's what, end of February, March.
Shut it down.
I just shut it down. Honestly, I just let the young guys play, see what you get from that, and just focus on next season. You get Ja for a full season. Mm-hmm. You get Adams back. You get your team back actually, and you can actually have a noteworthy season. But tough break for them, because I did think they had a chance to make the play-in very interesting, especially with where a lot of teams sit right now. I thought it would have been an interesting race, but yeah, given all the injuries, I think they should shut a lot of their guys down, to be honest, if they aren't going to come back until March, anyway, if that. So yeah. Top of the Western standings, the Wolves are still number 1. The Thunder are currently 2. They haven't been lower than, I think, 4 all season. Both these teams were playing teams last year, and they're currently relatively comfortably sitting atop the West and competing very well against the other teams that are atop the West. So, thoughts on the Wolves and Thunder this season? Is it legitimate, and can they keep it up to and into the playoffs?
I think yes to both questions for both teams. I think, honestly, they've been tested throughout this season. It's hard to stay atop of the West, especially heading into the All-Star break. But they've done so, and done so convincingly. I think more so toward the Thunder, I'm not going to be surprised by if they're still at the top. Because it seems like everyone on their team is just playing high-level basketball, from Shea down to Chet. They look really good. on both ends. And then I think Ant is really doing a great job of keeping the Timberwolves afloat. For me, it's going to be how Cat performs as we get toward the playoffs. He is that X factor for me.
Miguel.
Was I wrong? I think in our pre-season assessment, I was saying that the Timberwolves, I was saying that they can make the playoffs, and we were like, whoa, they're not gonna make it. I was like, I don't know. I think they could.
They were gonna be in a 10. Like they were definitely at the very least making the play in. I know that.
I've heard blasphemous statements over those T-Wolves of Minnesota, and I'm here to represent with their terrible trade that it has worked for the regular season halfway through. It's looking good. As one of my famous, Twitter follows and acquaintance Barflon Tado tweets, Jaden McDaniels is playing CTE ball, so I need to tune in a little bit more to peep that. But other than that, it seems like it's working out there. So I don't know, that tweet tickled me. But yeah, I don't know. And then OKC, we've always said like that's the scary team. That's it. It's bubbling up. They did it without Chet. Now let's see what happens. And he's fitting that slot well. And I feel like it's kind of working out pretty well. We still got to see what's going to happen with a certain situation. But other than that, everything is good in OKC. As long as no one talks about that, everything is great. Right. But until we talk about that, I don't know if it's like truly fine and dandy. I mean, maybe they trade him off for assets before, anything of it. Who's to say? But I don't know. That still scares me. That's still looming. No one has said anything. It's still like, they both are players. I'm like,
literally, no one has said anything. They said person has not said anything. So
yeah, they're definitely trying to sweep that. They're trying to sweep that under the rug, and I'm not going for it. Okay, I don't care how good they're playing.
There was a Robert situation going on. I feel there's a deal in place for trade capital, and I don't know. That's all I'll say. All that Robert situation is that I'm fighting for my life.
Oh my gosh!
Hey man, a Robert situation is crazy, but very serious situation. Still very serious allegations in regards to Josh Giddey, for y'all that have not caught on. I agree. It is looming. I don't think that is going to just completely disappear. I'm going to assume that the investigation is still open from the league. We didn't hear about that ending or closing officially. So there's no telling when that may come back to haunt OKC, unfortunately. But at least from the basketball perspective, I agree with both of you all. I'm not surprised. I'm more surprised by Minnesota than I am OKC being atop the standings. But I've watched a few Minnesota games this year, and they are legit. Great defensive team, a lot of weapons, a lot of some good depth as well. It's gonna come down to Cat, and it's gonna come down to in the playoffs when teams start focusing on Ant, and when they start double teaming Ant, can Cat consistently show up? And I don't know. Cat just hasn't been that guy to me. Cat's extremely talented. I'm not taking away talent. I'm not taking away what he brings to the game, but I've never known him to be a guy that a team can like ride through like a playoff push, a playoff run. And I think while Ant will continue his production, I think his first season getting a certain attention, given the regular season he's having, I think that will be an adjustment period. And I don't know if Cat will be able to pick up enough slack for them to get over the hump. They'll probably get out the first round, maybe, potentially. But the way it's looking, they're going to get one of these veteran teams with something to prove. So I don't know. Irony says the Lakers, and that would be an extremely interesting first round series, but we'll see.
Who's the trade package for Cat? Who is the other viable option? What do they need out in Minnesota that would
a more consistent Cat? I don't know who a more consistent Cat is, but Cat just needs to be consistent. Cat Cat can be the piece. Cat just has to show up consistently. That's
Bobby
the
Portis?
question. No, because
No.
Bobby doesn't. Not to be your starter. Not to be. You're stupid. I don't want Cat on the Bucks. So I don't think he moves the needle for us
This
either.
is fair. No. Sorry, I'm just spitballing. I'm just thinking like, what is the? I mean, New York has already made their move. DeJounte doesn't really fit.
I think last year's Jaren Jackson, maybe. Jaren Jackson that was actually productive.
They fit each other's molds a little bit more because then you have someone that could pop out and hit that shot, in Memphis, and you have someone that could just bolster up that defense even more in Minnesota, and also still shoot the ball.
I think you need what Cat brings offensively though, which is why it's so hard because if Gobert is going to be if that's your defensive anchor, then fine. Then whoever is in this Cat role, they need to be. I need 60 offense and 40% defense in terms of like, best abilities. Like I still need a guy that's going to get me. Cat's going to have to give me 25 in the playoffs, like average. Like
Yes.
that's what Minnesota will need because Ant, he won't do it, but Ant is capable of pushing that 27, 28, 29 in the playoffs. I think he can do it. I don't know if he'll be up in that range this playoffs just because, again, I think it'll be a bit of an adjustment as teams start playing him a bit differently, but he's capable of doing that. Can Cat give me 25 a game in the playoffs? Not 30 one game and then 8 the next. Like Cat has to at least score 20 every single time he touches the floor, bare minimum. So if Cat can do that, I think that makes Minnesota very formidable. Because we are unsure if he can do that consistently, I think that's the biggest question mark for Minnesota. But for the Thunder, I mean, if SGA turns his play up in the playoffs, which I think most people expect at this point, yeah, they're going to be a problem. They're going to be an issue for any team out west because I don't think there are too many people that can actually guard SGA. Like, I just don't. I don't think there are too many defenders out there that can really stop this.
Is that the trade package right there? Is that the 1 and 2 seed?
I would never.
Cat for Giddey?
I would. Whoa.
Cat for Giddey? Well,
no.
It just doesn't make
It's like
it doesn't make sense for either.
Yeah,
both are pieces that like they aren't really in need of. I think like,
right.
and then also like they're both getting something that I feel like would service them more than the piece that they have now. A trash for trash scenario where it's like Cat can go to OKC and then just be like the big that they need in case they face a team that has like a Jokic or something like that they need to throw a body on. And then Minnesota, they get someone that can actually help facilitate the ball with like stars like Ant, and like you have him with a pick and pop with Conley corner and Gobert rolling posts. Like I feel like that opens up, a little bit more if like you don't want Jaden McDaniels playing CTE ball in there. It's a guard to take that up.
It'll never happen, but one could dream. One could.
This is why we're here. No other podcast is talking about a Cat for Josh Giddey scenario. One of one.
We'll stay out west. There's a team that's starting to look really, really good that we did not have faith in at the beginning of the season. The Los Angeles Clippers look like they have figured out how to play with those 4 all-stars over there. Are the Clippers legitimate? I feel like health is the only thing that always ruins the Clippers. It's always the one thing that ruins the Clippers. So it's like I'm hoping and praying that they get to April with no serious injuries. But how legitimate do you feel like the Clippers are at full strength?
I'm still not sold. I'm just not. Short
As far as like a
answer, I'm not
championship,
sold.
as far as like a championship,
Championship, deep run, I'm not sold. I think in my mind right now, the most that they get is out of the first round. It just it's not there for me, and I don't know what's not clicking for me in terms of the Clippers, but it's just not there. I wish I could give a more detailed answer. I cannot. I guess I just have to be proven wrong because of what I've seen in years past.
Yep. I think that's the best point. I think Qualls set it up perfectly. I will believe when I see it in the time that it matters. Because, like, you know, also, yeah, I was wrong. I was saying, like, it's the worst thing I've ever seen. It's the worst basketball I've ever seen. Congratulations. Russell Westbrook is playing more motivated defense the most motivated defense I've seen him play maybe ever. He's actually, like, ball hawking very well and covering guys that I don't think that you would typically put a guard on, kind of not necessarily making him their Drew Holiday, but, like, mixing and matching what matchups look like. Harden is playing good ball, and everyone is good and healthy. But April, if Kawhi and Paul George are in full health and they don't have to medically sit them because something is going to happen to one of their knees, we'll be waiting. And I am praying for good health for all of them so that we can see this, because I feel like we've been saying it forever. It's been one of those teams where it's like, oh, remember when we were making memes about them beating the 73 win Bulls? And yeah, it's gonna be one of those where it's like, oh man, that sucks. Because like on paper it looks great, but
yeah. I think they have a good supporting cast relatively. Given who's left, I think they have the perfect number for playoff rotation. Given if they're fully healthy, so it'll be interesting to see. I think winning. The thing is, they have to put together a complete season because you're going to want to seed favorably just so you don't get like an extremely tough matchup first round. But honestly, in the West, that's going to be difficult anyway because I don't think they're eclipsing any of the top three teams. So I don't think they're going to eclipse Minnesota, OKC, or Denver at any point during this season. I think they're 4, maybe 5 right now. But if they stay in this middle of the pack, they're going to mess around and get like a Sacramento first round, which I do not like for them. Not going to lie. And the rest of that Western Conference is just so jam-packed because I have no idea how Phoenix is going to look come April. I have no idea how the Lakers are going to look come April. I have no idea if Golden State turns it around. And outside of them, you have like your Houstons. Then you also have a team like New Orleans that if they're healthy, that's not depending on the team, that's not a favorable matchup. And for the Clippers, I don't know if the Pelicans are a favorable matchup for them. I think they're the one team with the youth and the bodies for all of their players, for Harden, for PG, for Kawhi. I still think the Clippers have the better talent. But if the Pelicans are hungry enough, I think that's a really, really tough series that even if the Clippers come out of, they're going to be exhausted. That's gonna be a tough series to win. Both teams at full strength. So I don't know. Like I said, I agree with you, Gail. Hopefully everybody is healthy, but it's hard to know if they're legit because I just feel like we've seen their ceiling. And so they're gonna have to prove to the world that they can eclipse what we feel like their ceiling is. Because I don't know if adding Russ and Harden change how great we thought they could be with just PG and Kawhi even. Were you all surprised by the extension with Kawhi?
yeah.
Yes.
Same. I did not see that coming. And them being in talks with PG, I guess makes sense, but also are they really doubling down on this given what's happened in the last 4 to 5 years?
I think I mean, I'm not totally shocked because it's like then you'd have to admit that you were wrong and that you traded all of those pieces for Paul George and you leveraged your future on a rental for Kawhi, which hasn't been a rental, which congrats, but now was it the best team to get it done in this now loaded West where talent is getting younger and younger and your best product is aging? So it's like the window was already, I would say, a year and a half max, if I'm being very generous. And now it's like you got him for 4 years, awesome. But it's like if this doesn't work, what does the retool look like? How do you leverage Harden? How do you leverage Westbrook? Oi.
Raptors Knicks trade happened a couple of weeks ago. But I'm a fan. Raptors sent OG to the Knicks. RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly, some other assets, but mostly those two guys. They are in Toronto. Like I said, huge fan. I think this has the potential to be on the same level as the Halliburton Sabonis trade, in my opinion, in regards to how both teams will benefit from having these players moved around. But thoughts on that trade for both teams?
Yeah, I think it's beneficial for both, or it has the potential, like you said, to be beneficial for both. But I like what the Raptors are doing. I know that they're just outside of the play-in right now. I think they sit at 11. But I thought that was a really good move, and I like what the Knicks did as well. But like you said, it was pretty much an equal trade, in my opinion.
Agreed.
I think the only thing that hurts any team in this is the Knicks losing quickly. I think that's going to hurt their bench production in the long run. And, I think getting OG is a plus, though. I think if at any time you have a talent like that can help out your already rabid defense under Tibbs, I think that's great. And he's going to work him to the bone and get the most production out of OG that you can defensively. But yeah, I don't know. Toronto also, I think RJ going home, like I'm happy for him. And I feel like this is the space that he needed to be the basketball player that he deserves to be. And the Knicks, it was too much of a logjam of who was going to be the scorer. And like, I don't know if he really was that tertiary option. I feel like going to Toronto where it's a little bit more defined for him to go out and get a bucket and do him. And around people that know and love him, I think it's only going to work for him. I think we'll probably see the best of RJ Barrett ball now.
Yeah, I agree.
I definitely agree as well. I'll start with Toronto. I think that I like the roles that Barrett and Quickly will seem to have in Toronto. I also think that since Toronto will more than likely move Siakam, I think that will open it up even more. So I like that keeps Toronto young, because now you have Scotty, RJ, Quickly. I think that's a nice core to try to figure out what you want to make of that team. And it's not a terrible transition from their core from like the championship run to now. It hasn't been a terrible transition to what this new young core seems to be, because Scotty is legit. He's nice, and he'll definitely be around and be a force for a while. So if RJ can take the leap that everybody's been looking for him to take quickly as well, honestly, if they can do that in Toronto, I think that'll be great for both of them and the organization. I think OG is perfect for the Knicks, to be honest. And they are probably now the most balanced and therefore probably the scariest versions of themselves that they are going to be. Because I don't think you miss Quickly, but between having DiVincenzo, between having Josh Hart, I think Grimes is a decent player out there as well. Between having the roster that they have, it just sucks because they will only go so far as Julius Randle lets them. Jalen Brunson is the dog, and Jalen Brunson will show up. Of that, I have no doubt. But this team will live and die by how consistent Julius Randle can be. He will play. I'll give him that.
It's more shots there. And I feel like that is what opens up this Pandora's box, and it's like live by it, live by the JR, die by the JR. It feels like where it's like, we are back with Julius Randle, and it's like 2 years ago was his best year, and like he played pretty good ball in terms of like how he played within the offense, played with his teammates, and still dominated with his moments. But now it's like, I'll take it back to Bucks Knicks when like he's in his feelings that Jalen got the last shot and missed it, and you're down by one. You're gonna pout and turn back and walk down the court, and you let up a bucket. It's like you can't have a star player with those tendencies.
Mhm.
Now it's like, he's only gonna get thrown into that limelight a lot more now, and we'll see what happens in those moments when they don't have that super quick guard that can go get you one.
Yeah. What was it the first game with the Raptors that RJ dropped 30 plus?
It was like first or I think it might have been second.
Yeah, something like that. But I agree with you guys. I think Julius Randle is to the Knicks what Cat is to the Timberwolves in terms of what they could be. I think it's very similar. So
a great analogy. I completely agree with that.
Straight swap there. That's what I was gonna say, but it was too much on the nose.
That trade would actually benefit New York way more.
100%.
Would benefit New York way more. Cat and New York being able to play alongside a Mitchell Robinson or a Hardenstein. But then you also have OG takes away defense. You have DiVincenzo Hart. You surround Cat with defenders and tell him to only worry about offense. That might be the best position Cat could be in.
Yeah.
To be honest. And he's still I mean, he'd be the second option offensively, but I mean, he could still be tertiary if you wanted him to. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think Minnesota shouldn't do that. I would say, but I mean,
unless the Knicks throw in like Josh Hart.
Yeah, then that would make things interesting. But I don't think the Knicks make any more moves. Honestly, I don't think they have to, given the landscape. But yeah. So I brought him up a little bit. What is the best landing place for Siakam if Toronto moves? I know where I think he should go.
I'll defer to you guys because for me, I don't know if it matters.
I know. Bring DeMar DeRozan back to Toronto, and then trade him to Chicago. I think it'd be Levine that goes there for anybody, but
if you deal with Chicago, probably. I think that Siakam should go to Dallas.
I like it, Steve, and it's not something I thought of. I wouldn't mind.
I don't think Dallas would have to give up too much, and I think as long as you're going to keep Luka and Kyrie anyway, if you can keep Grant Williams, you might have to part with like a Derrick Jones Jr. Maybe, who I like in Dallas. You might have to part with Tim Hardaway.
That's what I wouldn't want to do. I would not want to do that.
I wouldn't want to, but if I can pair Siakam with Luka and Kyrie and have Siakam as my third option, but then also my primary defender, and then I still have a Grant Williams, if I'm looking to get a chip, I'm willing to give up Tim Hardaway. If that deal is on the table, I'm willing to do that. But I don't know if Dallas is going to want to part with Tim Hardaway. I'm not going to lie. I don't know. But I think that's the
wanted OG there more in Dallas.
I feel you. I agree. But Dallas isn't my first choice. It's my second. I think Siakam would have been the perfect fit in Sacramento. Perfect. And I think that Sacramento has pieces that they should.
Firing.
Or Harrison Barnes. I don't think Sacramento would move off of Murray, but I would if it meant I would get Siakam with Fox and Sabonis. I would do it. I would be willing to give up either Murray or Herter, whichever one you want, along with Harrison Barnes.
I think they would have to give up like Monk. I feel like it'd have to be a little bit more.
Do you give up Monk now that you have Barrett and Quickly in Toronto, though? Like, does Toronto need Monk? Would be my question.
Yeah, because I think he brings a bounce that they don't have.
Fair.
I didn't see it that way.
That would be tough.
I think he brings energy.
But Siakam's not going to Sacramento anyway. Sacramento pulled out of the talk, so that's not happening. But I do think Toronto should go ahead and move Siakam, though. I do think that it's just time. I think it's just time. I don't think Siakam's a part of that. I don't think you make him a part of that core. I think you roll with Scotty, RJ, quickly, and you just build around them. I think you let Siakam go somewhere on a contender in his, for his last good year. Well, I mean, just his last good productive years before he gets too old. Get him to a contender so he can, compete for at least play some high level basketball, potentially compete for some championships. But I think it's just time to move on from that. All those pieces from that championship team, I think it's just time to move on from them. Respectfully, no hard feelings or nothing. I just think it's time.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah. We'll stay in the East. Will Joel Embiid play enough games to get his back-to-back MVP?
I think he will be inclined to. I think if he sees, oh my God, touchdown, but
Yeah.
I think he'll be inclined to. If he sees that he is number one on that leaderboard by post All-Star break, and he only has X amount of games to play, he'll play that game of oh, I played here, I played in this game, but I didn't really get minutes. But then that hurts numbers and what bolsters that case. So, but he is, I think, yeah, I think last year didn't fill that void for him. I think he's going to play for that, and whether he wins a championship or not, that is secondary to him. So if he sees MVPs on the table, take it.
Mm-hmm.
Ashley?
Yeah, I think it's incentive enough if his name is in that MVP chatter. But I don't know. It's just Mr. Glass, so I think okay, so here's the guarantee. He'll definitely be healthy for the playoffs. Leading up to that is where the gray area is, and I don't think I see it. What's the minimum? 65?
65. Yep.
65. Yeah, I don't know.
He's playing it really close right now.
Yes, and we're not even we're a month away from break. Break is close, but we're not there yet. So
yeah, so I don't know. I think for him, I would hate for him to have the season he's having and be robbed just because he didn't play enough games, because 34.6 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, 53% shooting. He's having a crazy season. He's having an MVP season, and with Philly being, hell, if he hasn't missed all the games he's missed, Philly might be second in the East at this point. They probably would have a better record than Milwaukee, given the skid we had before we just won 3 in a row. But that's how good he's playing. But then that also takes me to their point guard. Does Maxey have most improved in the bag, or should he?
I think he wait.
Halliburton?
Yeah, that's what made me say wait.
Was Halliburton wasn't putting up these numbers last year.
Exactly.
But Halliburton was balling last year. Is Halliburton's leap bigger than Maxey's leap?
Yes, considering the fact that Halliburton is the leader of that team. Joel is the leader of the 76ers. Considering that Halliburton has his team in a position to make the playoffs and not even have to play the play-in, they're top 6. If it weren't for injury, just the way that he's been balling, and it's been against formidable opponents, like that game against Boston for the play-in, he balled, and Boston is a really great team defensively, so that wasn't an easy task. So I think it's Halliburton's, although Maxey is having a great season.
Yeah, I'd agree. I don't think he has it in the bag. He's in the conversation. But I do think if it was today, it probably would go to Halliburton. Halliburton would probably get my vote.
Alperen Sengun should have his name in that hat as well.
He should.
He's been balling. He's been balling at his stats say it, but it's just that he's stuck in Houston, so no one cares. Which I can't blame him. Who cares? But
it's hard because all 3 players we've named, I don't think anybody is shocked by their production this season. I think the numbers speak for themselves in terms of, yes, there's been a leap, but I think we knew Halliburton being given the keys. I think we knew Halliburton could do some like faction of what he's doing. I think we all knew that Philly would be fine if Harden left because we all felt like Maxey could take that leap. Everybody was talking about Sengun last year. Like we knew that he was gonna, we didn't know that Baby Joker would start to be the comparisons, but he could put up, this type of production. So it's always interesting with most improved player because it's it's not often that it's by surprise. It's usually just
it's like the double XL class. It's like this dude's been out for like 8 years. How we not know? How is he on the XL freshman class right now? Like Action Bronson was like 38.
You're right. That's a good analogy. I like that analogy. I like that analogy. Last but not least, got another guest the player for y'all.
Oh.
All right. Got an overall rating of 88. Inside scoring is 83. Outside scoring is 86. Athleticism is 72. Playmaking is 68. Rebounding is 83. And defending is 54.
So we're talking about like a 2-guard, 3-guard if their playmaking isn't that good, but their outside scoring outweighs their inside scoring. Sorry, what? Can you say it all one more time?
Yes. Overall is 88. Inside is 83. Outside is an 86. Athleticism is a 72. Playmaking is a 68. Rebounding is 83 and defending is 54.
Rebounding is 83. That's the one that's throwing me off. Their playmaking is 68, so it's not terrible though.
88 overall?
Do not pay attention to the playmaking. I will say that right now. That is a huge throw off. I think completely inaccurate. It's not Booker. It's not a guard.
I was going to say Booker.
It's
not a guard. Is Mikal considered a guard?
It's not a guard like a 3?
No.
Okay, so a 4.
Arguably.
88. Hold on.
Yeah, I'm thrown. If it's not Book and it's, I don't think Mikal would be an 88 though.
And he could shoot. And he's not a guard.
Jokic has to be in the 90s.
It is not. Yes, I would think in the 90s.
It's not Laurie, because I feel like he'd be lower.
It's not Laurie. That's a good pick, though, but I think Laurie's athleticism would be just a little bit higher.
What's his athleticism?
72.
54. Oh, 72. What's 54?
Defending.
Or it's not Zion because he's not shooting from the outside.
And it should not be Sabonis because I don't think he should be an 88. It's Sabonis?
What? Wait.
But the playmaking completely threw me off because I was like a 68 playmaking. Sabonis is
86 outside shot.
88 overall.
I mean, the 88 overall kind of makes sense. The 86 outside shooting definitely threw me off. The 68 playmaking would have threw me off too.
He sits out.
He's got a jumper.
He does.
He's got a jumper.
He's got a light
jumper. Shoot.
They sit off him like he's Rondo. So
I know, but he can shoot. He can't hit that though.
If they're gonna sit off me 20 feet, I can't shoot.
I mean,
I can't shoot. That's not if you're gonna afford me the luxury, 5 feet of space.
Well, here's the thing. Would you rather Sabonis take an 18-foot jump shot or take a 3, or would you rather be banging with him, down low for the majority of the game? I would let him shoot, and I would just live with if he gonna hit that shot all game. But Sabonis doesn't even look for the shot in the way they play though. So,
like, Luka will post you up. Luka will take you inside, hit you with a little pogo stick shot. I'm not gonna camp off him. Granted, like, it's Luka, but it's like if he's got an 86 outside shot, that man better be letting it go if there's not a man around him.
Yeah.
okay,
And
so
then the 54 threw me off too, though.
I guess the 54 for defending kind of made sense because Sabonis.
That's a big. He's a 54.
Yeah, he isn't looked at as a defender, but I think the giveaways for me would have been the 83 inside scoring.
His inside scoring got to be way more than his outside shooting. That
It
don't
should
make
be.
sense.
It should be. It should be. Hey, I'm not. Look, go talk to Ronnie. Okay?
I'm not a Raider.
Go talk to Ronnie. Okay, I'm not. I'm just telling you what they got on the internet, man. I don't. You know.
Yeah. Man, don't pass up from layups.
This is true. This is true. But man, no, jam-packed episode we had for you all. We touched on a lot, but man, we are Miguel. What is anyway? We are there's so much going on. We have NFL playoffs are in effect. We're leading into All-Star break, so the NBA will definitely have some news. Trade deadlines coming up, so that'll obviously be a large topic of discussion. We will get out of y'all hair, man. Until next time, until the next episode, we will catch y'all. Peace.